Welcome, Jess. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. I have known you, I think, for a little over a year now. I think we both joined Next Level at the same time. Why don't we start with just letting the audience know a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we'll go from there. How's that sound?
Yeah, sounds awesome. Thank you,
Okay.
Katherine. It's so good to be here on the podcast with you. Thank you for inviting me. So who am I and what do I do? That's a great question, right? So my niche is I help consultants and coaches to attract, what I call high value clients. So clients that are profitable, but also really aligned with who they want to serve. What is that impact they want to make in their business and in the world? So attract the value aligned clients, profitable clients to their business, like without succumbing to the hard hustle mentality, which, I put these things both in the same boat. A lot of cold DMs or prospecting that's going on out there, people like out there searching for clients. Like, we don't need to be doing that. And the other one is what I call a marketing treadmill. So a lot of people just spending heaps of time and energy creating all this marketing that's really having little to no effect. And that brings me into, what is this all about? Well, it's really, I help them get really clear on their niche and align their offer to that, and then build a really simple marketing system that brings them in the right clients, like the actual people they want to work with for the right offer in an easy way that works for them.
That's amazing. So how did you get into this?
Yeah, great question. So I spent a good chunk of my life, I won't say wasted, but I spent a good chunk of my life in I call it corporate, is like working for businesses as a marketer. So some huge multinational global companies down to, even small startups, IT startup that became a billion-dollar company within 5 years. A bit of everything really. And it was great experience. But I realized that little voice in my head that I'd had since I was a child, that I wanted to run my own business. It was always there, and I was always thinking about it. And it just got to that point of thinking, well, if I'm not going to do it now, when am I going to do it? And I guess having kids and wanting to have more freedom and flexibility, and also realizing, I'm going off down a little tangent here, but when you're working in a business, you get to this point, I had it a couple of times, where you realize that you're just a number and you're there just to make the business money and keep the shareholders happy. And really, at the end of the day, although your colleagues like you and your friends, the business doesn't care about you. And I thought, is that really the impact that I want to make in the world? Is that what I want to be proud of, that I got to head of marketing and I'm, making millions of dollars for shareholders? Or do I really want to get out there and do something that I feel fulfilled with and that I'm proud of, and see the impact that I'm doing is actually helping other people? And so, yes, that's my story. I decided, well, I already coach and mentor my team in my department, in my job. I can, of course, coach and mentor business owners on their marketing and take it from being something complicated. Everybody says marketing strategy. They're like, it's so complicated. Don't talk to me about that word. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be. Like, let's calm down and let's make it simple, because it's just about alignment, and we just have to get really clear on what it is that we're trying to do. And when we break it down, it does become clear and easy.
So good. So you got to a point where you realized that you were a number. That's so interesting. And that little voice in your head that you always had said, now's the time to become an entrepreneur and work for yourself and help impact others. So when you sat down and said, okay, now's the time, did you automatically know your niche or know what you wanted to do, know how you were going to impact others?
No, I didn't. I actually, I was looking at buying a franchise for a Pilates studio at first.
Oh, wow. So like
Totally different.
totally different. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I didn't, but I kind of realized it very quickly. I think, this isn't my first business either. And I luckily just took a bit of time to think about what I learnt from my first experience, where I had gone into business because I saw a hole in the market and I saw a need, and I saw the profitability there. I was like, this absolutely is a thing. This can definitely work. There's a need for this. No one's doing it very well. Like, there were players in the market, but it wasn't being done well. I was like, no one is understanding customer experience. So I started a business in 2010 selling wedding dresses online. And no, I do not sew. But I created this business, creating custom-made wedding dresses, doing it all online, and really solving a need that there was in the market, because there was just either really expensive ones in store or really crappy, dodgy ones online at the time. But I didn't love it. I didn't love weddings. I didn't love dresses. It wasn't my passion. It was nothing, like, there was no connection to me except that I saw an opportunity. And I realized that wasn't the right way to do a business. Thinking about Pilates studio, I was like, well, I was interested in Pilates. I like doing Pilates, but was that really my vision for me in the future and what I really wanted to have and build? And I realized while I was in the shower, as you do all your good thinking in the shower, like, what I kept on thinking was, I just had, content and stuff that I wanted to say about marketing, about brand, about customer experience, about really understanding your customer and building a business that's sticky for them, that you attract the right people and retain the right people. I just had so much to say about it. And I was like, well, this is my calling. This is what I should be doing. Why don't I just do that? Like, that's what I've done for years. I could do that as a business, and people will pay me to help them with that. So yeah, I did that. And the interesting thing is, we're here having a chat and talking, and even though I'd spent 20 years doing marketing, and people would say, like, oh, well, it's so easy for you because you've got all that experience. It's like, no, it's not the same, because I was behind the scenes in that corporate job. I was, head of marketing. I'd done everything, but I was never marketing myself. I was never the face of the business. I was never the voice of the business. I was behind the scenes doing all of this stuff. And it's completely different when you start a business and you are the one that they're buying. You're the one, you are the face of the business. You are the voice of the business. And so I've been through exactly the same learning curve and hurdles as everyone else when we get into that. And we've got to suddenly learn how to put yourself at the forefront of your business in order to sell your services.
It's so true. And I think that's where a lot of online experts, entrepreneurs struggle, is that you get into this business because you want to serve others, you want to help others, and you want to work for yourself, but you don't realize your personal brand. And so that means that you got to show up online, on stage, on screen, in front of a microphone, and be the face and the voice of your business. And can be a very confronting and hard thing to do. So how did you get through that and really find your voice and establish yourself as a personal brand?
It's a great question. And I think that this is something that could help a lot of people as well. The steps that I took, I didn't do it right from day one. Like, I did a little bit of building of my business in the background. If I had my time again, I think I'd definitely get out there a lot sooner than what I did. But obviously, we all have those fears, and yes, I had to get over them. What helped a lot is I got really, really clear on who I was talking to. So instead of feeling like, well, I've just got to put myself out there on this big, wide open internet and talk about myself to the world and all of that, oh my God, what does that even mean? What does that look like? What do I say? How do I say it? All of those questions that stop us from doing it goes away when you get clear on who you're talking to and why you're talking to them. And of course, this is about what your niche is, right? Like, you have to get clear on what that is. And the reason why is, imagine the difference from I'm out there talking to everybody on this global stage, the internet, to actually I'm talking to someone just like me. A woman who's working from home, she's got young kids, she's got a profession, she's got talents, she has a, expertise. and she wants to sell it. And she's just really struggling with how to communicate that and how to get herself out there so that she can talk to the clients she wants. Now, when I've got her in my mind, I feel empathy, I feel compassion, I feel like I really want to help her. And that took it away from me just thinking I'm getting on a video to talk about myself, to it being I'm on this video talking to this woman, just really helping her see that there is a way to do it, and there's potentially an easier way than what she's doing right now, and that I can help her with that. And maybe something I say today is going to help her take one step, help her improve what she's doing. And if I've achieved that, then that's a win, right? So it just took away a lot of that stress and pressure once I was super clear on who I was talking to and could, just focus on them. And I knew that lady, she wasn't going to be judging me. It was funny because right at the beginning, I had a baby on me in a baby carrier a lot of the time because I was working. She had reflux. So I had her sleeping on me in a little, the cocoon. And I'd be standing at the kitchen counter, working on my laptop. And I thought, well, I could wait to do this video, but then she could be screaming, or God knows what could be happening. My son might be home from kindy and everything would be chaotic. Like, well, she's asleep right now and it's quiet, so I'm just going to do it. So I did a lot of my early videos with this baby on my front in the carrier, just thinking, well, it doesn't really matter because who I'm talking to, they totally get it. Like, they've been here. If they're not there already themselves right now, they've probably been in my shoes in the past, and they're not going to judge me for having a baby on my front. They don't care, or they'll appreciate it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think that's what is resonating with people now more than ever is realness and authenticity and you being you, because they want to see the real person that they're going to potentially be working with, not the Instagram polished and perfect version of yourself. Now it seems like things are shifting more to the TikTok reality of like the realer, the better. And people love to see that, you got a baby and they've got a baby and the baby might spit up on your shirt and that's okay. Things happen. The baby might cry. It's okay. That's life. And it's the juggle between being a parent and having your own business, and that you can do both and that it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that the more you are real to yourself and you're able to share that, the easier it is to attract the right people. And at the same time, kind of say to my clients, by the way, attracting means you're also repelling. And let's not get afraid of that. Repelling is a really good thing. You can't have one without the other. So you can't be saying, well, I want to attract people, but I don't want to repel anyone. That doesn't work, because we've got to have this balance of the energy. Anytime that you are attracting means that you're automatically repelling. Because when you attract, it's because you've made a connection. There's that they're seeing you as relevant, they're seeing you as like-minded, they're seeing you with the expertise that they are looking for. And then at the same time, the people who are not relevant, who are not like-minded and are not looking for your expertise are also seeing that. So they are being repelled. And that is a really good thing, because you don't want to be spending your time, your effort, your energy on people who are not the right fit for you. You want to be attracting in the ones who are the right fit, who are, completely in the zone. And you'll know if you're getting people coming into your inbox who you're like, oh, well, I could help them. Yes, I can do that service. But that's not my dream client. That's not who I'm really wanting to attract. It's like, well, anytime that starts happening to me, I look at, well, where have I gone? Where have I started to put out a different message? Or where have I become, less clear in what I'm about and what I do and who I work with. And I tighten it all back up again, because it just makes life so much easier when I've got the right people dropping into my inbox. I'm not thinking, where's my next client coming from? Like, I know they're coming. They come because they are connecting with me, with what I put out there. And it doesn't have to be a lot either. That's the thing. It's like you can actually do less and attract more and attract the right people. It's just about being aligned in what it is that you're doing. So your marketing strategy, which is not in what the tactics are you're doing, but who you're speaking to, what it is that you're talking to them about and you're offering, all of that is in alignment, then you're getting the right people coming in.
Yeah. And the more specific you are with that, the better, because
Yeah.
then you really attract that ideal client versus this, that, and the other.
Yeah, well, we as humans, we don't understand generalistic. Like, so when you say, you just think about any business that you've seen and they've got some generic messaging like, oh, if you're a small business owner and you're instantly thinking, well, is this for me? Like, yeah, I'm a small business owner, but in Australia, 97% of all businesses are small businesses. There's like, millions and millions of them. So we're not all going to be the right client for that business. And the fact that they haven't taken the time to specify that more means that we've still got that question mark. Is this for me? So then we might read down a little bit more, but we don't have a lot of patience these days. So if we're not seeing something straight away that's standing out going, this is relevant for me, this is exactly where I need to be, we're out of there. We've got a very short attention span. We've got very short, we can blame Netflix and all of this. Like we want it fast, we want to see it, and if we're not seeing something, we're out of there. We're straight out the door. So it's so important to be specific, because it's the only way that your words and messaging can land. And what I find as well is, if you're looking at your service offering, if you haven't been specific in who it's for, then again, you've got a service offering that's probably not aligned with who you're trying to attract. So why would they be buying it when there's that lack of alignment there? Like, your offering needs to be aligned to who it's for. And so that's why when you haven't done that first step of your niche, it's really hard to have service offerings that are irresistible, that people want to buy, that are profitable for you, that, tick all the boxes. And that's usually where I see people struggling the most, because they haven't done that bit first. They've dived straight into setting up, doing their social media or doing marketing, doing all the stuff they see, and forgetting, well, if you haven't done this bit in the background, like, who is it that you're actually trying to attract in anyway? And are they going to want what you've got? Probably not, because you haven't aligned it.
Yeah, it's so good. And you're right. A lot of people do struggle with this, and I've struggled with this, I think, the whole time I've known you. But a slightly different struggle, because I actually am and was very clear on my first niche, but since then I've expanded into two niches, and that was the struggle of having two niches and not being able to get clear with the second niche and understanding how to balance the two niches as well. But it's so true. The more specific you are with it, the better. And that starts to pull in the right people and excite them to want to work with you, and helps to create that irresistible offer, because now you're getting a sense of what they actually want and what you do, how that can help them get what they want.
Yes, exactly. And the more specific, the better. And even though you've got two niches, that's fine. That if they're both specific, and we can understand it, we'll know straight away, well, okay, that one's not relevant for me, but this is.
Yeah.
And, that's fine that you've got the two different offerings in your business. I think it's when we're trying to, ring fence a huge amount of people. And what I find, because I've been here as well. Like, it's hard because you think, well, I can help these people. Like, I could help any business with marketing if they really wanted me to. I'm probably not the best person to help every business with marketing, because the ones that I understand the business better, obviously I'm going to be a lot more valuable to them than I would to a business that I don't understand as well. But I would say, yeah, I could go into any business and find some things that I could tell them they could improve, right? But that doesn't mean I'm the best person. So instead of thinking, well, who can I help, which is what most people do, and they come up with this big long list, well, I can help those people and those and all of these ones, and then they try to describe it. It's like, well, that's why we end up with a description like small business, because you're trying to describe everyone that you could possibly help, instead of thinking, who could I help the best? Like, what would where could I go in and make the most impact? Who would I love to work with every day? Like, where is that sweet spot? So we're not trying to describe everything. We're not trying to describe your whole market. And people actually realizing as, oh, you don't need the whole market. Like, come on, let's be real for a minute and think about how many businesses there are or prospects in your market. You'd never in a million years be able to serve them all. So why on earth are you targeting them all? Like, when you look at the numbers, it's insanity. You're like, well, most people in a one-to-one service, they need a handful of clients, not hundreds, not thousands, definitely not millions. So stop targeting millions when you only need a handful. Like, just get clear on who it is, and that's where you grow. And your business, you can grow it to whatever you want. I always say to people, it's about getting clear and specific, especially when you're in a foundation or in a phase where you need to re-energize growth. So maybe you've reached a plateau and you're not growing, or you're still in that bit where you're really trying to get the momentum happening. So it's a bit sporadic, got some clients, but it's not happening consistently or often enough. You're in a growth focused phase. So that's when it's really, really essential to narrow down and get more specific, get more clear, so you can just focus on them. And it's not that you're leaving money on the table, is that you're leaving people out, because you can choose to do that later. It's not like, this isn't today forever. This is, I'm deciding this, and now you've tattooed it on your forehead and you can never change it. It's like, no, you can change it, you can grow it, you can expand it. But if you want to get growing, the fastest way to do that is to narrow down and get clear.
Yeah, that's such a good point, because that's the confusion for me, and I'm sure has been and is the confusion for so many people, is that you don't have to have just one niche, and you don't have to be chained to that one niche for the rest of your life.
No.
You can have more than one niche, but ideally you should focus on one niche at a time and get crystal clear on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that your niche is not you as well.
No, that's right.
Right?
It's not you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was because when we're going back to being a personal brand, what I've now recognized and realized, and tell me if you agree, is that being a personal brand means you can have many different offerings or many different niches. You're not defined to that one specific thing. Therefore, when you are a personal brand, it's not, hi, I am a marketing expert or I am a voice coach. You are a person as a personal brand, but you have these things that you offer. Am I on the right track?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, we want to be, you want to have some words or concepts that people are associating with you, right? And this is again why you don't want to have too many, because then it becomes, they're like, well, I don't really know. I think she does a bit of this and a bit of that. And, anytime it's vague, no one remembers anything. So you want to be clear and specific. So be like, yes, Katherine Beck, I know exactly what she does. She coaches people on American accents so that they can get roles. Us Australians who don't know how to speak American, we want to go to the US. Like, that's clear. And she also helps entrepreneurs with how to speak so that we can actually communicate clearly. We can connect our voice. That's clear as well. So we're associating those two things with you, and they are also relevant and kind of connected. It's just you've got those two slightly different audiences. So we can associate that in our brains, and we're like, yep, I get it. I see Katherine, and I know that she does these things. So it's when we're trying to say, I just help people, I'm a marketing expert and I help businesses with their marketing. Everyone's like, oh, what does that really mean? Like, does she stick a logo on things, or does she run ads, or what sort of business? And people will automatically make up their own like assumptions as to what that is, because you haven't made it clear for them exactly what it is that you do.
So when you explain your niche, what do you say?
Yeah, so I say I help them with their niche strategy is the clearest, really, so that they can attract the clients. So I
Yeah.
don't really get into the tactics. I help people create their own version of their strategy that works for them.
Nice. Yeah. Cool. And another thing you touched on, which I think is really interesting, is that it is one of those things that you can always go back and revisit over time because as you grow and your business grows, your niche may shift and evolve. And so it's
Mhm.
good to get, I guess, realigned with the niche if that's like the beginning point to everything else.
Yeah, that happens a lot actually, and it happens naturally. So every business, you'll go through phases where you grow and you'll be working with clients, you'll have them come in, you'll probably evolve a bit, and then you'll realize, oh, we've kind of become less specific because we've tacked on a bit here, or we've said yes to doing some things here, and you might have fallen into then the habit of adding in and having more and more and more. And I think that's when you get to that point where it's not working so well, you're in that growth plateau, maybe you've hit your revenue ceiling and you're like, oh, how do we grow above this? That's all the time that you really need to come back and look at your strategy again. And usually it's because you've kind of tacked things on and it's evolved a bit. And we need to tighten it back up. Doesn't mean that you're not going to offer those extra things. I like to talk about having a secret menu. So I say to my clients, you don't have to stop offering all this stuff, but stop trying to market everything. Stop trying to market the entire shop. Oh my goodness, I had such a funny example of this the other day. We read a newspaper, like when do you ever do that anymore? But we were at a cafe and they had the Sunday newspaper. Opened it up to this page, and it was like this shop had tried to put every single thing in their entire shop in this ad. They had a double page spread. So you can just imagine, you're looking at it going, I can't even look at this. I don't know what I'm looking at. There's a zillion things on this page. And so therefore I'm seeing none of it. And it's the same with services, and I see this happen a lot with, agencies and people that think they need to have more and more services for people to buy from them, because they're not clear on exactly who they're talking to and they're not clear on the expertise. They've just gone, well, what are all the things that we could offer? And they've created this huge long price list or service list of all of these different things. And it's like, that's just overwhelming. Like no one really knows what it is that you do. They're not seeing you for really who you are. They're just overwhelmed by this enormous array of stuff. And you're trying to tell them you can do everything. Well, you're going to find out that they think you're really not sure if you're right for any of it, because they're going to look for the best fit person for them. So, but I say to them, look, it doesn't mean you have to stop offering it all, but decide what's your leading thing. What is the thing that you want to be known for? And this is again back to your niche. Like, what is your expertise? So your niche is not just who you work with, but it's also how you help them. So it's your expertise. Now, I can do a lot of stuff in marketing. I've done everything. I've done events, I've done PR, I've done all of these things. I've built websites, but they're all varying levels of expertise. But where my expertise really is not in that tactical stuff. It's in the strategy and understanding how to align it so that the tactics work. That is my expertise. So that's where I sit. And I don't try to help people with all of those other things because I don't need to. There are other people out there who have that expertise.
Yeah.
So you can have your secret menu, which means that you bring people in with what your expertise is, and then you can have some stuff behind the scenes that you might be like, well, when we want to be able to offer something additional, you can, and it doesn't have to be everything that you market. So there's a big difference. Your niche is not what you market, it's your expertise, and it's also not everything that you do, because you can have things behind the scenes.
Love it. It could be like your bonuses and your program or something like that.
Yeah, it's like, so, a branding expert or something like that, for example, they might help people with brand voice guides, but they might also offer some types of copywriting or maybe designs, logo designs, but they're not promoting that. They're not promoting the whole kit and caboodle. They're bringing people in with something more defined where they really want to be. And then they've got their secret menu behind the scenes where they're like, well, for this client, yes, they want some help with that. I can do that. And you can choose then. You're in the driver's seat of your business. So do you really want, what do you really want to be saying yes to? What do you want to say no to?
Mm.
And it helps people who are afraid to cut down the number of things they do to think about it this way. But then I like to challenge my clients on, well, are you filling up your day with things that you think people want, or is this what you really want to be doing? Because there's a big difference there.
Yeah.
And the money is in where your expertise is and in what you want to be doing, because that's what you're a specialist at and you can charge more premium rates. It's not in just serving them with whatever they want.
Mm.
So yeah, it's kind of shifting how you're looking at your business as well.
So what's like the biggest struggle you see most people having with marketing? And I know that's very broad, but in terms of what you do, when you have a new client come to you, what's usually like, oh, everyone struggles with this? Is it the niche? Is it something about the niche? Like, what is it?
Definitely the niche. Like every single client, I've had people who've been in business 20, 30 years and people who are, a year or two in. We always work on that because nobody's ever really specifically defined. And some, obviously there's varying degrees. Some are more aligned than others, but then it's about aligning their service offering with that.
Mm.
And really looking at, well, what is the results that we're actually trying to create here in the business? Like there's no point having a service offering that you'd need to work 60-hour weeks or have a huge team if that's not what you want to have in your business and you only want to work 20 hours a week. Well, hey, guess what? You're not going to get to your goal if this is what you're offering. So we need to change that. And that's why, again, I always say we need to build the strategy that's right for your business, not based on what other people are doing, not based on what you think people out there are wanting. There's always going to be someone to provide that. Let's build it based on what you want to offer, what the outcome is you're trying to build for your business, so that we get the ingredients right. So you get the outcome, because otherwise we're putting ingredients in and trying to make a cake and we're making mince pies or something instead. You're like, that's not the outcome that you're actually wanting. We've got to get that right. So your question was, though, what are people struggling with marketing? I think it's really that they're doing it blindly. So they're
Oh,
doing
that's
marketing.
good. Yeah. Yeah.
They're doing stuff and they're like, I'm doing marketing to get clients, right? And so they're doing stuff, but they don't know how many clients they need to get. They don't know how many leads they need to get the client number of clients. They haven't actually connected behind the scenes. What is, again, I'm using that word strategy, but they have no strategy. They're just doing stuff. And they think, well, someone said I just need to post on Instagram 3 times a day, or I need to do 1 reel a week. And, they're learning all of this content, which I'm not saying anything against that, is great, but you need to know why you're doing it. And is that giving you the result that you need? Like, where does it sit in that journey? Is it bringing you or going to bring you the leads that you need? And how many of those do you need? Like, do you really need to post on Instagram 3 times a day if you only need 1 client a month? Like, probably not. Let's not waste your time doing something that's not going to be effective for you.
That's so good. And, one of the struggles, I didn't even realize it was a struggle, but things that I didn't understand about marketing, because I come from a totally different point of view coming into the online space to you. Like I had no marketing knowledge whatsoever. So it was a massive learning curve. Was the difference between niche and avatar.
Mm.
I thought it was the same thing. I love talking about like my ignorance, because I just so much about marketing I just didn't know. But am I the only one that gets confused about niche and audience?
No, you're not the only one. I think, that word gets used, and I think, like with everything, people kind of attach to it what they think it means.
Yeah.
Same with marketing. Like, some
Yeah.
people think of marketing, they think of advertising, and other people think of brochures, and people just have their own version of what that means. Niche, yeah, look, there's probably a few different ways that people talk about it as well. I have my own sort of formula for it, or method for the niche, which really is 3 different things. that combine together. So, you know, your expertise is one, because it's got to be about what it is that you do. So where, you know, in the market that you're in, what is that space that you want to play in? Then who is it that you're helping in that space? So that those two mesh together really well. So we need to find the crossover point. But my extra bit that I like to bring in is, what is your difference? Because that's your sweet spot. And it doesn't need to be like you're doing something that's totally different to anybody else, but it's just like you need to be able to communicate to these people in this space, why you? You know, why is it you? And a lot of people don't do that. They don't understand. You know, they think, oh, I just need to. Some people are really focused more on the expertise. That's easiest thing. They think, well, I know what I offer, here it is, and here is what you get, here are the inclusions. So they market a product, even though it's a service, like they're marketing their service as if it's a, you know, an iPhone with a whole list of specifications on it. You know, you're getting all these things that come along with it. Why don't you buy it? Anybody? Because we all want an iPhone. Well, it's like, well, it doesn't work that way really with a service, because we are buying the person. We're not really caring so much whether, you know, is it 2 rounds of amends or 3 rounds of amends? Well, like, really, we don't care if you're getting the result. If you think you're doing it in 2 rounds and that's what you're putting in your package, then we trust that you know that's what you can do it in. We're not buying based on what the features are. We're really buying more from the person. So you do need to mesh that together to understand your niche, but also like why you know, because again, if you've just got a service offering, I see this a lot with you know, people that do, you know, websites, for example. It's very easy to go and find a website designer. They've got a package on the website, inclusions, and the next designer can just copy the same thing. Oh, okay, I'll do a 5-page website and it's got these things. So you've like then just got hundreds and hundreds of web designers to choose from, all with a similar package with similar inclusions and maybe just a different price. So guess what the shoppers do? We're like price shopping. We're like, well, I don't know. Who am I going to choose? Well, that I'm getting the same thing, it looks like. So it's just the price that we're comparing. Whereas if you take the why you and you actually add in your unique element, you take it away from it being about the package and the pricing and the inclusions, and being about you and how, you know, why you are the one that can help get the outcome. Then it's a totally different. You're suddenly trying to compare, you know, something that's not even a fruit. You know, we're not even comparing apples anymore. We're comparing I don't know, a strawberry flan over here with all these apples. And we're like, oh, I really like the look of that strawberry flan, so I'm going to go and do that. And it's not about price then, because how can you compare the price of a strawberry flan with an apple? Like, you just can't. It's not the same thing. You're not getting the same. So that's why your niche is important, to understand that, because it really is what is the foundation for how you build your offering, and then how you talk about it. You know, how you talk to those people, how you connect with them. You've got to have done that groundwork. Otherwise, you're not creating that connection. Even if, you know, you don't have the right words, you don't really know how you're tapping into their desire and what they're looking for if you don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's really, the way you describe it is it really ties in so closely to your personal brand, because that's what makes you uniquely you. And establish, like, for example, with me, there's you know, tons of voice coaches out there, but what makes me uniquely me? Well, I grew up in the US. I live in Australia, so I have that global aspect. I understand how people communicate in different parts of the world and how to attract people through that. And B, for the entrepreneur, I have about 30 years of performance experience on stage, on screen, in front of a microphone, to share with the average entrepreneur who is just getting familiar with being in the presence of these sort of technical things that you're not used to, you know, being the face and voice of your audience. So that is what makes you uniquely you as your personal brand. And then you add that to how you communicate your niche. Am I on track?
Definitely, exactly. And then, you know, we're going to go really meta here for a minute, because you just start tying it all in. So, when you're talking about that, then it might turn into then how you take that uniqueness and you've created your signature, whether it's a framework or a method or something that you do. I have for mine, I call it the jam plan, which is how you align those pieces of the strategy. And it's really, I say it's the alignment of it that is how you get it to actually work. So when it's not aligned, it's like a machine that's missing the nuts and bolts. Like, it's not going to be working because we haven't got the things in there that are hooking the pieces together. So that's what then you talk about that, and you get the jam plan inside my program Business Jam. And all of this becomes part of your personal brand. So when I'm talking and sharing content, you can be using that terminology in your own brands and your signature piece, which sets you apart, because you're not just talking about generic things like everybody else is. I'm talking about the jam plan, and you need the jam plan to align your 5 pieces of your strategy. Well, you can't get that with anyone else because no one else has the jam plan. That's it helps really to set you apart and make you stand out and connect the dots for people. Like, actually, what does this all mean and how do I do it? Well, you've made it really clear that they need to come to you because you've got that formula that's proven that works.
Well, it sounds like you've got a great proven formula. So the jam plan. So tell us a little bit more about that. So how do people join the jam plan, for example, and what do they get out of the jam plan? Because it sounds really good.
Yeah, there's so many little funny puns that I like to have. It's like, the sweetest spread. So, the jam plan is like my framework that I offer inside my program, Business Jam. So, yeah, like, it's as simple as what we've been talking about. There's really 5 pieces of your strategy that every business needs, and you have them generally to some degree. So we look at each one of them, you define each one really well, but then the real key is in aligning them. So that's where, I find people come in, they've got a business, they think they know their customer, they've got service offerings, but, it's just all not working as well as they could. They have a brand already, they've got marketing, they've got sales, so they've got all these pieces, but without them being aligned, they're not attracting the clients that they really want for the services that they want to sell. And maybe the services that they're offering aren't going to get them the revenue and outcome that they want for their business. So it's keeping them working too long for too little return. So each of these elements on their own need to be a little bit adjusted, but then aligned. So you're bringing in the right people for the right offerings. And when they do it, they're like, oh, I just didn't realize it was that easy or simple. And they've been busy but it's like they've been trying to run this machine with all these pieces that aren't actually connected. So it's like, well, the grooves aren't in. So that's why the wheels aren't turning. We need to get that happening. And it's, the same for a business that's well established that already has clients as it is for a newer business. I find people they're already working, they're already there working with people. It's a lot faster for them because we're really doing a bit more tinkering and adjusting. So they can go through the steps and have it all, within 3 months. It's like they've got that, I've got them saying messages like, oh, well, I don't even need to do any marketing at the moment because I'm booked out for the next 4 months. And I'm like, well, it's not just not doing anything, because we want to make sure that you've got that consistent flow happening and coming into your business. But it's a really great place to be, isn't it? Because you're not desperate for clients, and you know that while you're working with those, you've got some more that will come in when you've got that system set up to be working in the background for you.
Yeah, so good. So where can people find you if they want to learn more from you or check out the Business Jam?
Check out
How do they
Business
reach
Jam.
you?
Yes, awesome. Well, you can always find me on Instagrams, where I tend to hang out the most. I'm in jessica.osborn there, or you can come over to my website, which is jessicaosborn.com. So nice and simple. And come and find out. Like, I've got a lot of info there. I've got freebies that you can, check out. I do have a customer avatar one, which is
I gotta check it out.
you said, like, customer avatar. and knowing that it is really just one little piece of your niche. And usually it's like, well, there's no point doing the avatar until you're actually clear on who your ideal customer is first. So get clear on that. If you need help with it, then I've got a masterclass you can take right on the website about how to figure out who your ideal customer really is. There's a whole lot of questions in there that can help you to work that out for yourself. And then you can build a really good profile. So yes, but thank you for having me on here today, Katherine. It's
Well,
been
thank you
really
for
fun.
being on the show. No, it's great to have you here. I've learned so much from you. Anytime we've had a conversation, I go, oh, I'm stuck on this, I'm stuck on that. You always have such, whatever you say is always so on point and such great advice and has helped me tremendously. So I really appreciate it. And yes, most
Thank you.
definitely, please go search, find Jess. I highly recommend her. And thank you